So there's this new leadership book making a massive claim that it can completely change how we manage teams by using the laws of physics. Yeah, you heard that right. But bold claims need a tough stress test. Well, guess what? The verdict is in, and today we're going to break down exactly what the critics had to say. And really, this is the whole ballgame, isn't it? When you decide to go up against a century of established thinking, you're not just launching a book, you're putting a pretty radical idea on trial. The author didn't just want a pat on the back, they wanted a tough, critical review. So the big question is, did this new theory bend or did it break? Okay, so let's get into the core idea here. The book basically argues that the old way of doing management is just, well, it's outdated, and that we need a totally new operating system for how we lead. This slide just lays it out so perfectly. On one side, you've got what they call Newtonian Management. Think of it like the old factory model, you know? It's all top-down, command and control, and it treats an organization like some predictable machine. But on the other side, you have quantum leadership, a model that's actually built for the chaotic world we live in now. It's all about empowering your teams, being adaptive, and navigating all that unpredictability. The old way versus the new way. So you can see why the critics were immediately a little skeptical, right? This was the biggest risk, the number one question on everyone's mind. Is quantum just a cool-sounding but ultimately empty buzzword? Something just tacked on to the same old advice? Or is there actually some real substance behind the metaphor? All right, let's get to the good part. Let's look at the evidence and see what that stress test actually uncovered. And boom, right out of the gate, the critics just demolished that central question. This quote is the first huge piece of evidence. They said the physics metaphor isn't just for show, it is the actual operating system for leadership. I mean, that's a massive validation right there. And it gets better. The review found the whole system to be incredibly coherent. It gives you these new tools like gravity wells to figure out what's causing friction on your team, event horizons to spot those moments where there's no turning back, and impedance to actually measure how much resistance there is to change. These aren't just clever names. The critics found them to be real practical tools you can actually use. Another thing that really jumped out to the critics was just how powerful the framework is. They called it instantly differentiating and a sticky frame. What does that mean? It means this isn't some model you read about and then forget a week later. It's designed to literally change the way you see your workplace from the moment you start using it. But look, a cool framework is one thing. Is it actually useful? That brings us to the final verdict, which really zeroes in on one crucial thing: practicality. And here it is, the hard data. A 4.6 out of 5 on practicality. Let's be real. In a world full of leadership books with a lot of abstract theory, a score this high is a huge signal. It means these aren't just ideas, these are tools you can pick up and use tomorrow. And the reviewers, they didn't mince words. Their summary was just legit practical, not fluff. That says it all, right? It cuts right through any fear that this is just another one of those feel-good books with vague advice. This thing is designed for action. So let's just put it all together. What's the bottom line for leaders? Well, the verdict is in. This book delivers a coherent operating system, it gives you a sticky framework that's truly different, and it's all backed by that killer 4.6 out of 5 practicality score. It's really the whole package. The review also got super specific about who this is for, and, it's not for everybody. It's specifically for leaders who are in those high-speed, constantly changing environments. We're talking tech companies, product teams, and any of those rapidly growing scale-ups that are just tired of the same old generic advice. And just to set expectations perfectly, the review made it crystal clear what this book is and what it isn't. If you're looking for a book filled with long stories and case studies about what other companies did, this isn't going to be for you. But if you're looking for a hands-on field manual with actual exercises to fix your own team's velocity, then the critics agree this is exactly what you need. Which brings us all the way back to our original question. When a book challenges 100 years of management theory and you put it through a tough, critical stress test, does it survive? Well, the answer is a very clear yes. It passed. So if you're a leader in one of those fast-moving fields and this sounds like the manual you've been waiting for, the next step is pretty simple. You can grab The Physics of Leadership on Amazon, get access to those practical labs that helped it earn that high score, and start putting these ideas to work to fix your team's velocity today. What's the biggest source of friction that's holding your team back right now? This might just be the framework that helps you find that answer.